What is going on, people of YouTube? My name is Kurtyoy, and willkommen indeed to another podcast. Now, for those watching on my channel, apologies for not uploading the last one. It's just I ran out of time on the week, and also we recorded on a Monday. By that happened, Tuesday and Wednesday happened, and of course, you all know the big story. Sheffield Wednesday 3, Arsenal 0, and I felt like there should have been a 3-hour podcast dedicated to just New Hugh and Sheffield Wednesday, indeed. But I didn't get time to do it, so I decided not to upload it. However, Joe stopped uploading. So if you want to watch last weeks, you can go and watch it. But this week we've got a lot of things to talk about, and whilst I've done the intro, I'm also here with Joe. You're such a jerk.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm here.
Yep, he's here. And now I'm going to pass it over to Joe, who's going to talk about everything in the manly way he does.
In a world where Bayern Munich take the lead against Arsenal.
Have they?
Yeah, Lewandowski.
Yes!
Right, so we've got 3 games lined up for you guys. We're going to start off with the big one that me and Kurt, I guess you could say, watched together. We played Football Manager while watching the game. Everton 6, Sunderland 2. My first topic is the fact that the first half was end-to-end.
Good game.
It was a very good game. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It's the best game of football I've watched in about a year or two, maybe, I would say. Look, that hasn't involved West Ham, of course, because, of course, every game with West Ham is a good game of football.
Exactly.
That was a magnificent run by Lewandowski for that goal, by the way.
Get him in Team of the Year.
Team of the Year. Hashtag Lewandowski. So yeah, I've got written down end-to-end stuff because it was just a fantastic game. My next point was the Kone, Lukaku and Deulofeu show. What do you reckon on that, Kurt?
Well, I'm so glad Deulofeu's come into his own, because I felt like he to many people's surprise, I think a lot of people, I think weirdly for me, forget that he has played an Everton shirt before in the 2013-2014 season, where he didn't have much playing time, wasn't given much of a chance. Only played, I think I saw yesterday about 900 minutes of football, but still grabbed himself 3 goals and 4 assists, and in the end just was an impact player that Everton had. And I think now, for £4 million, he's showing his absolute worth. And admittedly, like I say, I'm not going to get really overhyped about someone playing against a lower team, which Sunderland is. We have to face that fact. A championship team, yeah, with a few, Premier League players at the attack to score the goals. And but he had a fantastic game. He ran the game, and when you've got a player that can run the game, and you've also got 1-1.
Mesut Ozil just scored.
Oh, God damn it. But when you've got a player that can run the game, which is Deulofeu, and you've also got players with such energy, power and finishing and pace in Lukaku and Kone, they're a force to be reckoned with. And with Kone on the left-hand side, I think I heard before the game was, 50-50s whether he was going to start, but Martinez took a gamble with him. Martinez should obviously go to the casino more often, because that gamble really did pay off. And in the end, they just ran away with the game. Cortez thinking he could get in the act and score an own goal too. Everton were just too good. Let's just face it, they were too good, and they couldn't. Sunderland couldn't handle them.
Sorry to break the news, but the goal's been disallowed for offside. But Mesut Ozil was about a yard onside.
It's alright, it means my bet's still on, so I don't care.
So, yeah, but anyway, I just loved the fact that Runa Kone, the man that was basically exiled last year, I don't know if he was injured, but he never played, scored a hat-trick. I was talking to Kurt, and he was just, I was celebrating for Everton, because, Everton's one of those teams on Football Manager that I've managed a lot of times, and I've got a little thing for them. And the fact that Lukaku, Kone and Deulofeu completely ran the show, it was just unbelievable. And the fact that one of the players like Kone ran the show was another thing that's just unbelievable to me. I mean, Kone is one of them players that this season has really sort of come into it a bit more.
Well, 11 games, I mean, he's come on as a sub for, I think looking at this, 3 or 4 of them, but he's grabbed himself 5 goals and 3 assists in the league, which, considering he barely played last year, it's a terrific improvement.
Yeah, no, it's a tremendous improvement. But going back onto the sort of Sunderland being the championship team with a few Premier League players, what about Jermaine Defoe's finish?
Oh, quality.
it took a deflection, admittedly, but it was a good finish nevertheless. It was a little bit like the old Jermaine Defoe, as they said, in
Yeah,
the actual game. And then the Stephen Fletcher header as well could have been defended a bit better, but still a good header nevertheless. But that's where the lack of experience in Funes Mori really showed, because you do not give a man like Stephen Fletcher that much space.
yeah,
Which is going to be interesting next week, of course, because West Ham play Everton, and the fact that Diafra Sakho will still be injured. Andy Carroll will be playing against Funes Mori and Stones, so you have to see if they've learnt their lesson or not from the big strikers, because if there's anyone that you wouldn't want to get on the end of a header that isn't Stephen Fletcher, it's Andy Carroll.
oh, definitely, yeah.
I mean, he's Andy Carroll, Stephen Fletcher, two of the best headerers of the ball in the world. But anyway, my next point is Sunderland fell to pieces after that third goal.
Yeah, it was a bit of a it was a harsh one because it was the own goal in the end, but I feel like they were really up for it, and I felt like that third goal just was like almost like, you know, a boxer getting, you know, beaten up, you know, the first few rounds, coming back into it, really fighting well, and just taking a huge, you know, jab into the stomach. It really winded them. They're not going to be, you know, it's not the rest of the fight isn't going to be the same as boxing fight, and the rest of the match wasn't the same from after the 50th minute. As I don't think, well, Sunderland, I think in the end, I think scroll down, yeah, they had more shots, but they were all from, you know, pot positions, and Everton was, you know, defending well. Although they did get a few chances on the line, it was always comfortable for Everton. Never a chance after that third goal where you thought, oh, Sunderland are going to be in here. They really troubled Everton. It was always just, you expected Everton to clear it. They did. And, well, I think Sunderland had their 5 minutes of magic, but Everton, you know, sort of had, I think it was more of an Everton blip, because it was only then where Sunderland made their chances count, and after that it was, you know, all Everton again.
Yeah, no, I thought that Sunderland were very good. There was a point in the game where I thought they were actually going to go on and, well, not win the game, but I thought they were going to go on and get a goal, you know, make it 3-2. Still didn't think they were going to win the game. I thought they might draw. Good save from Czech there. But, yeah, Everton deserved the win at the end of the day. Allardyce, this is the first time in a number of years, but only the third time in the league where a team of that Allardyce has been under control has conceded 6 goals. The other occasions were with Blackburn, I believe, in the season that they got relegated.
Maybe it's
Just
an omen.
Interesting fact for you there. Have you got anything else to add on this game?
Well, Allardyce is known for his strong defensive displays. You know, phenomenal defending. You know, really hard to break down. You know, when you think about Allardyce, you think about, you know, things like when the West Ham team he had went to Chelsea and Chelsea'd them with Park the Bus. You know,
Yeah.
that I think this shows how weak the Sunderland defending is at the moment, and how much of a job he's got on his hands.
It's not just the Sunderland defending, though. You think of the calibre of players that Allardyce actually had at his disposal at these different clubs. So, at Newcastle, he had Colaccini and Stephen Taylor, both of them probably in their prime. At Blackburn, he had Christopher Samba and... what's his name?
Scott Dan.
Was it Scott Dan?
I think he played for Blackburn at some point.
It was a Dun or a Dan. It was one of the two of them. Who else was there? But even at Blackburn, he didn't have the best defence. Bolton, he had Gary Cahill and whoever they had at the back then. So they're all decent centre-backs. Whereas the likes of John O'Shea and Wes Brown... That's enough said, isn't it? John O'Shea and Wes Brown. There's nothing... The Sunderland back four is not anywhere near as good as the likes of what he had even at West Ham. I mean... Reed and Tompkins and Collins, for that, 3 decent centre-backs last year for us. And it is showing that maybe Allardyce does need to definitely invest in the centre-backs as well. Because he's got goals in him, but he does need to improve the back, which is something that we didn't think that Sunderland did have in them at first.
Good to see though that they're putting up fights. It's just whether they can keep the goals conceding down and keep the goals they're scoring up.
Well, I mean, it's all well and good them fighting, but at the moment these players are fighting for a place in the team.
Yeah.
It's still the early parts of the time where Sam Allardyce is in charge, so players are going to be fighting for places in the team, and they've really got to win a few games while they've got this momentum, because otherwise they're just going to end up going down.
Yeah.
Which I still think is going to happen, same as Villa.
Same.
Right. So next game, Liverpool 3, Chelsea 1. Chelsea are crap.
Fair enough.
That's what I've decided. Chelsea are crap this year. I don't know what's happened. I think that the Chelsea players have actually been mysteriously replaced by alien duplicates, and it's all been decided by Spurs. They've paid for it. Spurs have paid for Chelsea to have a crap season. Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are Chelsea shit, or are they just going through a rough patch?
I have nothing to say.
Okay, Mr. Mourinho. So we'll move on.
No, I think the team needs to change. I feel like it's getting there, but it's still, players that shouldn't be in the team. I mean, I have no idea how Gary Cahill has still kept his place in this Chelsea team. He's just having a horrific season. You know, you've got the experience in John Terry. You've got, Zuma, who admittedly is trying his hardest, but, he's been playing, next to Gary Cahill, who has been awful this season. He's been chucked in right back where he cannot play. In previous times he's been moved into defensive midfield. He's got a chance now in centre back. I know tonight they're going with the back four I think they should go with, which is Azpilicueta on the one side, Raman on the other side, Terry and Zuma in the centre, which is good to see. But I still think changes are needed to be made. Hazard needs to go. For me, he needs time on the bench to sort of sit down, realise I can't perform. Almost like Louis van Gaal was done with Depay. Depay, he was stumped out straight away. Depay wasn't performing for the first few games. Right, if you're not going to perform, not going to put the effort in for the team, you're out of the squads until you do so. Which is good from Van Gaal. Something Mourinho should do with Hazard. I know Hazard isn't playing tonight. I don't know if that's because fitness concerns or resting him for the weekend. I hope it isn't resting him for the weekend. Anything to do with that. Fabregas rightly so on the bench. I also think maybe Oscar should be on the bench. Maybe give Kennedy a chance in the left wing, because I don't think Oscar's been doing that well, and he's not a winger. Because if they do play the squad tonight with Fabregas in the number 10 role, Oscar can't be pushed out to the wing because he's not a winger. He's too weak for the Premier League. Get pushed off the ball easy. You need someone like Kennedy who's an out-and-out winger that can try and deliver balls in towards Diego Costa. But it's getting there, even though they're losing. But one day they might get out of the relegation scrap. Who knows?
You never know. I do agree that Hazard needs to go. I mean, he could end up going, because I know that is it Real Madrid are interested in him.
Real Madrid. I think PSG also is another one.
Yeah, well, PSG are interested with anyone. It would be interesting to see if anything does develop out of any of those moves. But at the moment, Hazard needs to be chucked onto the bench, and they'd need to play someone else. I wouldn't say Kennedy, because he's not proven at this level. But I would say someone, why not give a youngster a chance that isn't just bought?
Yeah.
Chelsea, you've got this massive, massive reserve team full of youngsters, and you do not give any of them a chance.
I think you've got to look at another problem. You've got to look at the amount of players Chelsea have loaned out. You've got players, like Marco Marin there, who can do a job. Of course they let De Bruyne go a few seasons ago, which is, I think, a huge loss. You've also got, rather close to home, Victor Moses, who they let leave. And, there's players like that. They've got a, under 21, basically under 21s team that could fight and basically survive in the Premier League. Is that good? And none of it's being used. It's just, if you're not at a high class level when you move to Chelsea, you're going to get put on the loan list for a few years, get loaned out to different clubs, and then flogged on.
sold off for profit. That's the Chelsea way. It's a
Exactly.
business.
Exactly.
Victor Moses was actually Chelsea's best player in pre-season, according to a lot of Chelsea fans, and they were disappointed to see him go out on loan to West Ham. But yeah, they're paying the price for it at the end of the day. So this is what they deserve. They deserve to be down there, and Mourinho deserves to be sacked. Right. So, Liverpool, were they lucky in this game? What would you say? Were they lucky? Did they catch Chelsea on another off day? Were Liverpool actually any good? Or
I
did they
think-
tactically play the game well?
I think they played the game well. I think Liverpool were good. If you're going to go to the bridge and dominate possession, 57% they got, that's, always good. Double the shots here. Chelsea had 2 on target, they had 7, they had more corners, admittedly they gave away more fouls. But the one thing I saw from Klopp that I try my hardest to try and emanate in Football Manager is, that high pressing up the field. The centre-backs are never given a second, the midfielders are never given a second, no one's given a second, they're pushing up high, 2 men charging down onto one player, cutting out the passing lines as well. And they played the game well, so in that sense they aren't lucky. However, Lucas still being on the pitch is a bit lucky for me. I think that was a red card, personally.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that was a red card. It's a second yellow. Admittedly, it wasn't harsh, but, you see him given, so I think it's got to be given, personally. I see no way about it.
Yep, no, I agree with that. An interesting fact about that game is Lucas Leiva made 73 passes, John Obi Mikel and Ramirez put together made 76.
Yeah.
But was it the Coutinho show? Is Coutinho, it's got to be said, for the last 2 years at Liverpool, I think it's 2 years, 2 or 3 years, he's probably been Liverpool's best player, in my opinion. He's been very underlooked at Liverpool until this year and last year, and he's not half pulling off some corkers most of the weeks.
Oh, I got another double here, but both of them were good.
Yeah.
Even though
Coutinho,
deflection on
he
one of
doesn't
them.
score normal goals. That's something that I've noticed with Coutinho. If Coutinho scores, I always watch a match of the day because I know it's going to be a 40-yard screamer where he's lobbed the keeper, done a rainbow flick, and then I don't know. Coutinho is just he's been good. I
Yeah.
rate Coutinho very highly. He deserves a move to a bigger club, although I don't think he should leave for Barcelona or anyone like that. Simply
Won't
due
get
to the
playing
fact that
time.
exactly. So I would rather him stay at Liverpool and entertained us in the Premier League, as long as he doesn't do it against West Ham. Have you got anything to say about Coutinho?
Quality player. I think he's showing now. Now that players like Sturridge, who is injured again, or out of the team again at least. You've got no one else really performing. Henderson still isn't here. You got Benteke on the bench for that game. You've got Suarez who left. You've got Gerrard now. So the big players have now gone, and Coutinho is starting to step up into a big player role, which is great for him because it will only help his growth as a footballer, and hopefully help Liverpool and Klopp onto a decent second half of the season.
Yeah, well, sooner or later someone had to step up.
Yeah.
The fact that 2 key strikers are out injured for Aston Villa is going to prove quite costly towards the sort of mid-part of the season, because as I can't remember, Kurt, I think me and you had this conversation last night about Benteke being the wrong man for Liverpool.
Yeah, I think so.
He's a good player, he can do a lot of things, but he's not the correct player for Liverpool for a number of reasons. He doesn't suit the style of play that Liverpool like to play, which is the reason that they sold Andy Carroll.
Yeah.
And the amount of money they paid for Andy Carroll and only got 15 million out of it, you'd think that they might have learnt their lesson.
Yes.
But instead of learning their lesson, they pay 30 million for another similar player that can do, is a little bit better than a Carroll. He can do a few more things than Carroll. I mean, it's shown that he's a good player because even though he's not limited to what he can do, he is still scoring goals in this different style of play.
Yeah.
Because he's good with his feet. So Benteke is the wrong man for Liverpool. He's still scoring goals, like the odd one every now and again, but he needs to leave. Bayern are winning 2-0 now.
And I've just seen that. I think he was the wrong. I've sort of swayed. Sort of sitting on the fence now with my decision in regards to Benteke because who scored? Oh, Muller scored. There's a shock. Muller and Lewandowski. Who else? For me, at the start, under Brendan Rodgers, I feel like, no way. He's not going to fit in. Don't play well. However, he made the absolute difference for Liverpool against Chelsea and gave them a different style to sort of move forward with. Now, I think Benteke will come in now on his own in Liverpool. I don't think he'll play that well. If they have a fully fit team and he can maybe play alongside Sturridge, I feel like if they play Liverpool way, I think he will play very well there because he's got another striker that he can, lay off. He can, play off, nod the ball down to, acts as a target man. He's good with his feet as well. He also have players like Firmino, Coutinho, Milner, Henderson around him who are all good with the ball, great passers. A few of them can also run at the defences as well. I think that's where he'll be suited best at the moment. He's an impact player from the bench. But once they've got a fit team, I feel like he'll be an incredible asset to Liverpool.
As long as they play the right style of football. If they play big man, little man, he'll suit it perfectly.
Yeah.
And my last point for this game is, are Liverpool a mediocre side with the players they've got?
I'm not too sure. Parts of it are mediocre. I feel like
Their defence is mediocre.
Yeah, that's what I was going with that.
Yeah, their right back is their only good thing, I would say, in their whole defence.
Yeah.
But I'll let you say what you want to say.
Klein is a good player. I also think as a centre-back, Skrtel does a good job. He is clumsy like the rest of Liverpool's defence. He isn't very good on the ball, passing-wise, but he's a centre-back. And if you've got Skrtel on the pitch, he's going to give 110%, throughout every single minute of the game. And I think, that is also key to have. But, you've got Moreno who, sees himself as a striker half the time. You've got Sacco who sees himself, daydreaming 90 minutes of the game and awful. You've got Lovren who I don't think Liverpool fans would like to, speak of his name in the centre-back position. And you've got Mignolet who was so hyped about a few years ago. I think now we're seeing that he's just an average goalkeeper in a good club.
I think that Mignolet always looked good for Sunderland because he had so much to do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's always been my opinion of Mignolet. Their defence is definitely mediocre. The how Lovren was worth 20 million is beyond me. 20 million for a few assists to the other team. That's what I'd say about Lovren so far.
Yeah.
The Liverpool defence needs to be improved massively. They need to replace Lucas Leiva, even though they haven't sold him yet, because a few years ago Lucas Leiva was unplayable. But with the amount of injuries he's had, they do need to sort of bring in someone that is of a similar class to the old Leiva rather than the new one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Liverpool are a mediocre side, that they've just got a few key players, like Coutinho. Firmino's not done it for me yet. Sturridge is injured too often for me to consider him a key player anymore. Henderson's injured. So they've got... Oh, and Milner as well. They've got a lot. They've got a lot of good players, but two of them are injury prone. Two of them play every week.
Yeah.
And that's another 9 players where they're pretty average Premier League players, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They'd probably make it into other teams, but because this is Liverpool we're talking about, this is a team that should be challenging for the top 4 given their history, and recent history as well. They should be challenging for the top 4, but they don't have that. Well, A, they don't have a world-class player, and B, they haven't got enough strength in depth.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say on Liverpool.
One other thing. I think Diego Costa... Oh, Chelsea have just scored. I think Diego Costa... I don't know whether you saw it, Joe, but when he was, tackled, he did kick out at Skrtel. Did you see it?
No, but Diego Costa is a disgusting player, so...
he
I
kicked
wouldn't
out at
expect-
Skirtle, and you could see, he got frustrated. He kicked out. Skirtle just sort of this is the thing I was relating to. Skirtle just sort of looked at him as if to say, what, and then just sort of complained to the referee. I think, and for that reason, the FA have released a statement a day or so ago. I think it was something like that, saying Costa will not be punished for the kick out on the Skirtle. I think you get that on a player like Coutinho, a sort of like a weak player that will be looking to get his player sent off, maybe not as hard as Skirtle. That scene, he's kicked out at him, send him off. I think Diego Costa is incredibly lucky, and I think that is, where Diego Costa, because people will say, Diego Costa this, Diego Costa that, hasn't had, barely any red cards in his career compared to what people would think. The reason for that is he's always fighting with the, centre backs who aren't going to make a meal of things. However,
Yeah.
if that was Chico Flores, my goodness, who knows what would happen?
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, imagine if he played Chico Flores every week.
Yeah.
The reason that Costa doesn't get sent off so much is because he does things when the ref can't see it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he's good at in football. Right. Anyway, moving on. I will let you take this one because you know what it is and you've got a lot of notes for it.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday 3, Arsenal 0. Now,
I thought we were going for Palace 0, Man U 0.
oh no, Newcastle 0, Stoke 0. I have but being serious now. Next one is Man City 2, Norwich 1. Now, to many, this would seem as such it's just a City slipping up. Getting a fortunate win, albeit. There's much more to that. City, or people, have waxed lyrical about City this, City that. They're looking like an absolute force in the Premier League. People have said that they're scoring 6 goals here, 5 goals here, and I'm seeing, you're looking at, from about the time when they lost 4-1 to Tottenham, they won 6-1 against Newcastle. I might bet 365 and start playing a tennis match again. I'm going to turn it off. They won 6-1 against Newcastle, 5-1 against Bournemouth, scraped a win against Sevilla, drew 0-0 against Man United, won 5-1 against Palace in the Cup. Palace were playing a second string side, City were playing quite a strong side, and scraped a win against Norwich. I think what we're seeing is how important David Silva and Sergio Aguero is, because you're looking at a 6-1 victory against Newcastle. 5 of the goals were scored by Aguero.
Yeah.
Go check it. They won 5-1 against Bournemouth. Admittedly, that was a lot to do with Sterling, a lot to do with Boney.
And Bournemouth not being very good.
Yeah, but that's what I was getting to. Bournemouth are a championship side. For me, they're a championship. It's a bit like the new Blackpool. They're a championship side playing in the Premier League, and that was an easy result. City going to a championship side. As you saw by Sheffield Wednesday last season, League Cup won 7-0 without their key players, scraped to 2-1. And then you move on to the fact they scraped through Sevilla without their key players again, 0-0 against Man United. Silva and Aguero, that would not have been 0-0. We're going to ignore the League Cup as it's the League Cup. 2-1 against Norwich. What went wrong against Norwich? They didn't have Aguero and Silva. Norwich, a lot of people consider Norwich to be down there in dogfight. I think they're having a poor run of form, but the way they set up against City was fantastic. A lot of clubs would go to City and think, we've got to show them respect. They're going to dominate us, so to sit back. Norwich played their game, played it well. It took them to 67th minute before Otamendi scored from a De Bruyne cross, and the only reason Man City got back into the game after 1-1 was through a penalty and a handball which Russell Martin got sent off for, and also Joe Hart making a monumental mistake and allowing basically a tap-in for Cameron Jerome to bring it back level. And it highlights that City, even with Company, are still conceding goals. Admittedly, that was 110% Hart's fault. They fumbled it, can't look anywhere about it. But against the teams, they should be scoring a lot of goals against, they're struggling because of the lack of Silva and Aguero. Now, this highlights how maybe we use the words average and mediocre like on Liverpool, their team is compared to how it should be, and B, how big of an impact and how big of a player both Sergio Aguero and Silva is. And I think with them fit, they can blitz through and win the league. Without them fit, I feel like it'll be a huge struggle. And City aren't as good as everyone thinks without those two players, for me.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I don't think they're as good without those players as well. There's a lot of things about City that aren't as good without their key players. They're not very good in attack, and that was actually shown against West Ham, believe it or not. When they lost 2-1 to us, at home as well, they had a few key players missing on the day, even though some of them were on the pitch. So if players even don't show up in games, you can see what happens. And it's the same thing that's happening at Chelsea at the moment. You've got a lot of key players not showing up week in, week out, and it's really affecting the team's performances.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I thought that they did well. Norwich. They did well to keep it 2-1. They played their game, very happy for them. But they deserved a point, really. They were unlucky.
Yeah.
But it is just a thing of another last-minute winner for Man City, again, against a team that they should be winning. Like, they won 1-0 against Palace with Iheanacho scoring a goal in the last minute. And then this time Torre scores and it's a penalty.
Yeah.
So they're lucky, if anything, Man City in a few games, but they have, of course, dominated opponents in others. So you don't know what City's going to show up. That's the only problem. And if City played like this against the likes of Arsenal, Man U, Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, Everton, they would get demolished.
Yeah.
Luckily for them, when they did it against West Ham, they were only playing West Ham. So they only lost 2-1 instead of 4-1. But yeah, I mean, Man City were made to work by Norwich, and that was good to see, that they weren't just sitting back for 90 minutes like Chelsea would have.
Yeah. No shots intended there.
No, there were shots. I'm just looking at a picture now at how deep the Norwich line actually was. Well, not how deep it was, but like they didn't sit as deep as you may think, because their average positions on the pitch for most players, you've still got Cameron Jerome, I think is number 10. He is still about on the semicircle of the not semicircle, the circle in the middle of the half. He's on the edge of that, so that's still quite high up the pitch for an average position.
Yeah.
And then the Man City one is actually very high up, with the average position of number 4, which is Company, I believe.
Yeah.
He is on the edge of the semicircle as well, so about the same position as Cameron Jerome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I want to say on Man City Norwich.
Yeah, that's all I've got to say. City aren't as good as everyone thinks they are.
Yeah, and that's been proven a few times this season, though. I mean, with the results that you say, with all the big results, if you have a look at some of the other results as well, like, I'm just loading it up at the moment, but we'll start off with West Ham 2, Man City 1, Tottenham 4, Man City 1, Juventus 2, Man City 1. They're all very sort of crap games from Man City. There was actually that run of 4 games that spanned over. So that was quite a dry spell. That Juventus loss was clearly the key turning point, and then losing to Spurs, they were like, hang on, we need to do something here. And since then, they have admittedly won 6-1, 6-1, 6-1, 5-1, 2-1, 0-0, 5-1, 2-1. So they're actually unbeaten this in the last 6 games.
Yeah.
And so they're not doing as badly as you think, but they are still missing David Silva massively.
Yeah.
Very,
Definitely.
very, very key player. If they didn't have De Bruyne, they wouldn't have won as many points as they have won so far.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, I guess we'll move on into what will be the results for the week, the overall results. So we'll go through a quick run through of the results, fixtures, results. Oh my God, what an absolute screamer from David Alaba.
You've just seen it.
Right, so Spurs 3, Villa 1. Crap Spurs. Crap Villa. Decent Spurs, but they were playing a championship team. Harry Kane's goal was not a good goal, people. He literally just... The ball was passed across to him, and all he had to do was beat the goalie. That does not make it a good goal.
It's a good goal.
Everton 6, Sunderland 2. Southampton 2, Bournemouth 0. I'm sorry, Bournemouth, but you were appalling throughout that game. Southampton were also pretty bad, it has to be said. I feel like if they were any better, they would have won by a few more.
Yeah.
Chelsea 1, Liverpool 3. The best game of the week, Palace 0, United 0. City 2, Norwich 1. Newcastle 0, Stoke 0. Newcastle showing some form. You know, they've got a point. What is that? Swansea 0, Arsenal 3. Arsenal showing that they can be a dominant side, even though they're losing 3-0 to Bayern in the first half. Watford... Oh, yeah, we'll ignore that one. West Brom 2, Leicester 3. And because I have to say it, Watford 2, West Ham 0. That, as you can see, I'm not wearing my West Ham shirt this week, guys. So now we haven't got any topics this week. We're pretty boring, me and Kurt. So we've gone... Well, I've got a bit of gossip. Not just gossip, it's a little bit of truth.
Is it Big Tony round the corner? Who's he having a baby with?
Well, I've had a conversation with James and Steve, and they've told me that Gerrard is going to retire at the end of this season.
Oh.
Is there any truth in it, Kurt?
Yeah, it could be truth. It could just be a little bit of banter, you know?
It could be. It could be that they want to sell a story. But personally, I don't think he's going to leave because it's only his first season in the MLS. And as David Beckham has proven, the MLS isn't a tough league as such.
Ooh.
And as you can see, it was so boring that Frank Lampard even found the time to fly over to England to do Monday Night Football the other night. So, Gerrard, I don't think he'll retire. Don't panic yet, Liverpool. He still might come back on loan in January. Right, an interesting one is Monaco have made a 35 million bid for Jose Mourinho.
I have nothing to say.
I don't know. I don't know why they would want someone that's going to get them relegated. I really don't. But that apparently, Abramovich said I might consider 70 million, which is bizarre. I'll tell you what, if Mourinho sells for more than Sterling, I'll say money well spent. And an interesting one, and this is because, you know, I like this guy, the next Lewandowski. Milik is rumoured to be joining Leicester for 10 million.
Well, there's no point joining unless your name's Jamie Vardy or Riyad Mahrez, so poor signing.
Well, I think that Mahrez is going to Man U. I heard that one yesterday.
Yeah.
And Vardy, of course, is still making his £200 million switch over to Real Madrid.
Exactly.
So, you know, that they do need to replace those players with the likes of Milik, and I don't know, with 200 million they might be able to afford Messi. But still, it's not up to the standard of Mahrez. That's what I've got to say. I'm done. What have you got?
Well,
what have you delved into the world to find?
Well. What have I got for you today?
I don't know. Well, that's why I asked you the question.
Gianfranco Zola. He's currently in Qatar at the minute.
He wants to be Chelsea manager. Sorry, did I ruin that?
Andros Townsend could be leaving Spurs in January after he had a disagreement with a fitness coach.
What? Eva Carniero's at Spurs?
Nah, she's a physio.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, I need to get a contract at wherever she's going next and say my cock is broken. But anyway, let's stop with the. I've just made my bullying thing go away, and now the sickness is going to be here for a while. God damn it!
This is terrible. This is terrible. I can't believe what you've done to this. He's not even going to upload it now.
I can't do it.
Everyone that's offended, go over to Kurtyoy's channel. It's in the description. Make sure you leave a like and you subscribe to his channel.
Only if you're sexist.
No. Oh, God.
There's going to be that 1% of people out there like, this guy's an actual sexist and he's proud of it. Like, oh my goodness,
This
no.
chauvinist twat.
I've got no rumours. I've got nothing.
You got nothing.
I've got
All I
nothing.
can tell you is that I'm falling in love with Luton. Right. So, I guess this is the video. This is it. How long is this a record?
This is by far shortest. I think it's short.
40 minutes.
Yeah, but we haven't
Oh
got
my
much
God.
time. It's later at night. Didn't want it to be long, so
Yeah, I mean, Kurt was just lazy. He said something like, "I've got to edit loads of videos today." Today I've
Hey.
edited 2 videos today, Kurt, and you've edited 1.
I've actually got 2 now done.
You've done 2 now. Okay, well,
Yeah.
this is the 3rd one, so I don't even need to edit this.
Neither do I.
I just need to
It's done.
cut out the start. I need to trim down the start where we weren't talking for 2 minutes, and because me and Kurt don't talk when we're not on the stream. We don't actually like each other.
We're talking Skype chat.
Yeah.
And we're talking
Well-
Morse code, so we have to type in, for example, if I want to talk to you, I'm going to tell him hi. So I'm going to do full stop, dash, dash, full stop. There we go. And now we're just sending that to Joe. That says hi, you know, and that's how we talk Morse code in Skype chat.
Yep. And this here means cheeky Nando's.
Before and
D4 is hang on, down. That doing that means do you want to play FM? And dong is love, dong is life.
the
means-
dong.
Means Kurt, can you please upload the current save of our Football Manager career? So this has been the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Those of you that have made it to 41 minutes and 44 seconds, that's now longer than that. Those of you that have made it this far, I hope you've all enjoyed it. And you leave a like, you comment, and subscribe to each of our channels for Football Manager content, because that is going to be the main thing on our channel now, isn't it, Kurt?
Indeed.
It is. I'm still unbeaten in the BPL. I've not lost a single game on any save in the BPL. Spoiler alert. Anyway, I will see you next time. See ya!
Bye.